We're going to turn now to a troubling and important story. Women who previously felt they have nowhere to turn have been coming forward, and a new KARE 11 investigation exposing a terrifying nationwide pattern of assault. This report involves someone called Boss Man, and I want to warn you, this report does discuss sexual violence. Also, we should note, KARE 11 does not identify victims of sexual assault without their permission. Here's investigative reporter AJ Legault.
Some allegations that were made while transporting inmates.
It's October 2nd, 2018, at the Coles County Jail in Charleston, Illinois. Extradition agent Marius Nesby paces the interrogation room. He's in trouble and knows it.
There's an allegation that there was a sexual assault.
This is an audio recording from earlier in the day when detectives from the Illinois State Police questioned him.
Did you rape that girl?
No, I did not.
What occurred in that bathroom, Marius?
Nothing.
Nesby works for the private prisoner transport company Inmate Services Corporation that has contracts all across the country, including with Ramsey County, Minnesota, to pick up and drop off inmates. To the prisoners in his van, Agent Nesby goes by a nickname.
Boss Man.
Boss Man.
They called the other one Boss Man.
Boss Man is about to have the heat turned up during a second round of questioning.
You're not telling the truth.
Eventually, Boss Man's story changes.
So was it out of your pants?
Yeah.
Okay.
He admits there was sexual contact with an inmate in a rest stop bathroom, but now he claims it was consensual.
What happened?
Is it even legally possible for an incarcerated individual to consent to sex with a guard?
Never.
Julia Bade is with Just Detention International, a nonprofit dedicated to ending sexual abuse in confinement. Before that, she was deputy chief in the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division and helped draft the Prison Rape Elimination Act standards.
Due to the power dynamics that the staff hold over every incarcerated person, it renders consent absolutely impossible to give.
Back in the interrogation room, detectives learn this isn't the first time a woman being transported accused Boss Man of sexual assault.
Have you ever done this before?
I'm very accused. I never did it.
He told me that he and a prior partner, male, would indulge in sexual favors from the inmates.
Leila Brown is a former Inmate Services Corps guard, partnered with Nesby. She says on those cross-country trips, she never witnessed anything sexual, but he liked to brag, and his behavior in the van towards female inmates raised red flags.
Flirting, hand gestures, touching of the hand, things of that sort that were not supposed to be done from officer to inmate.
Just 7 months before his arrest in Illinois, another woman being extradited from Arizona to Wisconsin accused Nesby, aka Boss Man, of bringing her here to Inmate Service Corps' headquarters in West Memphis, Arkansas, and sexually assaulting her in the bathroom. That victim's allegations are spelled out in federal court records from a lawsuit she brought against Nesby and Inmate Services Corps. Because Nesby and his employer stopped responding to the court, the woman won a $152,000 default judgment. However, she's been unable to collect a dime. There was also a criminal investigation started in that case.
The FBI came to my apartment. All four FBI. Yeah.
What happened with that FBI investigation is not clear. Nesby was never charged, and the FBI won't comment. But another sex assault investigation against one of Nesby's bosses here at Inmate Services Corps provides insight into just how difficult it can be for these inmate victims to get justice. Inmate Services Corps Captain Chris Weiss was accused in a 2017 lawsuit of violently raping an inmate in a rest stop bathroom. Court records show the woman also claimed Weiss forced her to perform other sex acts and threatened if she reported it, he would see that there were additional charges against her. Another guard testified under oath that she witnessed sexual contact between Weiss and the woman, and also with another female inmate named Ashley.
Well, he stuck his hand down my pants while the van was driving, yes.
Ashley says she was terrified because the guard had complete control over her.
It's like you don't want to make him mad, but then I didn't want that to happen either.
Despite that evidence from two victims and a guard, the DOJ brought no criminal charges. Why not? An FBI agent testified in this sworn deposition that his case was closed because of jurisdiction issues. The jurisdictional loophole? They didn't know what state the alleged bathroom sex assault happened in, so U.S. attorneys in multiple states declined prosecution.
Which really makes no sense. That's baffling. That should not happen at all. That's something that the feds absolutely should have jurisdiction over, and it should not be an excuse to be able to sexually abuse someone simply because they don't know where the heck they are when it happened.
Weiss didn't even lose his job. He never responded to our multiple attempts to contact him, which included knocking on the door of his Tennessee home and leaving a business card. While admitting no wrongdoing, Inmate Services Corps settled civil lawsuits brought by the two women accusing Weiss of sexual assault. Inmate Services Corps owner Randy Cagle also never responded to interview requests to discuss those alleged sex assaults and numerous others, including that of Danielle Civils, who says while being transported from Dallas to St. Paul, Minnesota, her guard raped her.
How did it happen a second time? How did it happen a third time? How did it happen all these times?
To try to answer that question, we knocked on the door of Cagle's Tennessee home and left a card. He called a few minutes later with profanity and threats.
I need to notify you I'm recording this phone call.
Write this down, record it, whatever you need to do. Come back to my house. I'll show you.
But no answers.
When you were warned that he was misbehaving with women in your care, what did you do?
In court filings, Cagle has claimed all his employees received training regarding sexual assault and, quote, I'm not sure how I'm responsible for common sense. Back to Boss Man.
You're no different than the guy that's riding that van that you Carter have all over the damn country.
As part of a plea deal, Marius Nesby pled guilty to aggravated battery in the Illinois case and was sentenced to 2 years probation. While no one from Inmate Services Corps wants to talk, Boss Man's case speaks volumes.
There's got to be a difference between the people on that bus and the people that drive it.
Ramsey County no longer uses Inmate Services Corps, but records show for years, despite a history of sexual assault allegations, Ramsey County continued to give ISC taxpayer dollars to transport inmates without, as our investigation would discover, even checking to see if they were licensed to legally do business in Minnesota. We're going to have that part of our Nowhere to Turn investigation tonight at 10, Jenna.
AJ, such good work as always, and difficult to watch these stories, to see these kinds of injustices. I'm curious for those victims who would seemingly have no voice as inmates. How do you find them? How do they get to you? How do you learn about this kind of stuff?
We started looking at this case about 6 months ago when we spotted a single lawsuit filed against ISC and Ramsey County. And honestly, it piqued my interest. I know we don't have private prisons in Minnesota. They're not even legal. And yet here we were putting people in chains in the custody of a private company that's hauling them all around the country. And I wanted to know, how is that possible? And then we started digging. And the more you pull the string, the more you find. And this really led us all over the country into just a whole great big pile of these type of problems.
Right, I remember talking to you about this weeks ago when you were referring to there's multiple victims here.
Just with this one company, we found more than 20 alleged victims. Some of them, the guards have already been convicted. Others, there's pending charges. And as you saw, some cases just never get charged, even when there appears to be evidence.
Thanks, AJ. Appreciate it. Well, if you have experienced sexual violence, there's always help available. You can go to the Minnesota Coalition Against Sexual Assault's website. That's mncasa.org, and click on the Find Help tab to check things out.